Hi there, this is Sarah from Palace Tarot. So we are continuing our astrology series here, and I'm getting the feedback that it's more helpful to go sign by sign. So that way when we get to the point where we're adding in the planets and the houses, we're feeling a lot more confident with the signs in general once we get to that point. So the sign that we're reviewing more intensively right now is going to be Taurus, okay? So bear in mind too that this is general sun sign astrology, and you might be, for example, a Taurus, but maybe you saw the video on Leo and you relate more to that one. That's fine. I would write that sign down. In fact, you might have more than one like that, because more than likely it means that you have those signs really predominantly in your chart once you do it, and you might be surprised. So let's talk about Taurus then. Taurus is the fixed earth sign, okay? So it's yin, receptive or feminine, because it's in that earth element, okay? Now, its ruling planet is Venus, and its symbol is the bull, and so of course you can see this is the bull's face. Let's pretend that's the bull's face, and then the horns right up here, okay? So Taurus is one of the most creative signs that I can think of in the zodiac. And that really comes from a really strong aesthetic sense. Taurus just knows what looks right. And they can actually be kind of stubborn about that as well. So you can imagine with the bull as their symbol, they might at times be a little bit stubborn about things and the way they do things. And as I said, they're very aesthetically oriented. So this is the person that you know that's in a band, that's a foodie, the person that is like a self-taught painter. Okay, this is the person that we are talking about. The other side of Taurus too, there's like more positive aspects to each sign, and then there's kind of a shadow side to each sign. Taurus can be a little bit self-indulgent and kind of escape into food and drink and things like that. So that's something, if you have a lot of Taurus energy, you want to kind of avoid and focus on creative projects and what you can do. Because as I said, Tauruses can get a little bit headstrong. And when you have that frustration, you really have to have an outlet for it. And being a yin sign, Taurus at times can feel very frustrated emotionally as a result of this. And so that's why creative expression in particular is so important to this sign. This sign is really sociable too. So Taurus, it's really nice for you to go out and get input from other people, and being very social with that lovely Venus-ruled energy that you have. But at the same time, don't forget to reflect and go inward on yourself, okay? Because you are just full of creative treasures and wonderful ideas about how to make them come true. So if you aren't focusing on that potential for follow-through that you have as a fixed sign, that's going to cause some problems with that energy. So really with fixed signs, there's a great need for expression. And usually that's going to be a creative type of expression, because again, when we go to that shadow side, we're going to see more self-destructive tendencies. And I don't want that for a Taurus. Y'all are very sweet, loyal people. So kind of the flip side to being like stubborn or headstrong would be to be a very loyal, loving person, right? That's very accepting. And that's very true of Tauruses in general. And they really have a lot to impart to the people around them. And they can be a little bit more introverted than other signs. Them and Pisces are pretty much classic introverts, even though you see them doing extroverted things frequently. They still kind of keep that little special part of them on the inside. And the house that Taurus rules, because Taurus is, it kind of reminds me of Gemini. They always have a lot of like different little projects going on. It has to do with like higher learning, okay? So learning is very much a theme for Taurus. What can I learn to do so that I can create, fill in the blank? I have this idea for a business, so where do I need to start? So Taurus is very, good at finding new things to do, new things to learn in order to carry out the plans that they do have. So one of the major arcana cards that Taurus is associated with is the Hierophant here, okay? So we might look at the Hierophant as a figure that has a lot of wisdom to impart, and see the two figures down here receiving that wisdom, okay? And so Tauruses are great teachers, actually. And they have a lot to share with those around them. It's just Taurus's energy needs to come across in a very, calm, centered kind of way in order for them to really be heard. And I think a lot of Tauruses feel frustration sometimes in that they don't feel like they're always necessarily being listened to, because there's a difference between hearing and listening. And I think that distinction is very clear when you look at the sign of Taurus. The other card that I almost want to associate more strongly with Taurus is actually the Empress. Okay. You can see the symbol for Venus, the glyph for Venus is actually on the shield here. As I've said before, she's kind of the ultimate glamper, okay? So she's very comfortable with herself. She's out in nature recharging, which can be very good for y'all, Taurus, especially since you guys can have that tendency to overindulge. Y'all need to get outdoors. You need some exercise, even if it's something funky and fun like dancing or skating or something like that, because that's really going to help you recharge your artistic batteries, and give you new ideas too, and help you have perspective too on your life. So this is kind of the energy of self-care that Taurus really needs to have and to see. The flip side of, being really good at self-care once Taurus masters it is kind of overindulging in self-care. So there's kind of a fine balance there for Taurus. On the one hand, we have this beautiful creative aesthetic appreciation, and on the other hand we have the tendency to overindulge in that. So that's kind of the delicate dance that Taurus has to perform as a sign, but what a great sign it is. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be moving on to the next.